Hello, everyone. Good evening. I hope you guys can see me. If you guys can see and hear me clearly, can you guys just type something in the chat?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right. Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Ministry of Testing Kuala Lumpur. My name is Ram. Today I'll be your host. And wait, yeah, I'll be sharing my screen now. Oh, okay. Okay, so welcome to the Ministry of Testing Kuala Lumpur. So this is our meetup number 8. I'll be your host for today. Right. So today's agenda, introduction and welcome to the Ministry of Testing Kuala Lumpur. Followed by that, the topic for today is technique for the whole team approach to quality by Amir Shazlan. After that, we'll have a 99 seconds talk for Q&A, and after that, we will wrap it up, right? Okay, so a little bit introduction about Ministry of Testing. So Ministry of Testing is the biggest testing community out there, right? So what we have in there is we have Learn on the Dojo, where you guys can access the full catalog, articles, talks, podcast courses. Also, you guys can connect to the community, where you can join the MoT Slack channel, testers chat, feeds, newsletter. Also, you guys can attend their events. The most famous one is I think Test Bash we have annually, and then we have meetups, ministry, masters of the ministry, master classes, and testing. Ask me anything. If you guys feel like contributing anything, you guys can also contribute by writing articles, speaking, teaching, review, advertise, and so on. So please do check out Ministry of Testing. Okay, so a little bit of a principle before we start today. Always remember to be human, okay? Be kind, be respectful, be supportive and inclusive, and most importantly, be open-minded, right? So these are the principles which we follow for all our meetups. So with that, I would hand over today's session to our Amir Shazlan. Okay, just give me 1 sec, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Right, hi guys. Thanks for spending time to listen to me today. I'll be turning off video because I think my house has some bandwidth issue. So just to conserve that, I'll just turn off video. All right, so let me share my screen now. Share screen. Right. Okay. Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
All right. So again, let me start my talk today. I will be speaking about techniques for a whole team approach to quality today. So I really appreciate your time and effort, and I'll try my best to give something of value today, right? Something for you guys to explore and think about when you guys do your work, and try to make your testing better in the long run. Okay. So the materials here I've collected is actually some of the current techniques that are sort of like getting known out there in the agile world. So obviously it's not my creation. So I'll be speaking about from whom this technique comes from, so that you can get a view of that technique later when you do your research and everything. But all of this is a collection of what I think can get the whole team to be more focused on the quality of testing, as well as the overall quality of work, quality of the product that you guys want to do later on. So, yeah. Okay. So takeaways. So what I hope you guys can bring back is an introduction to the whole team approach, what it is, okay? And then after that short introduction, I'll be speaking about the techniques that can be used, okay, to involve the whole team, developers, product owners, whomever it is, the end users to be involved in testing. And then lastly, just a quick strategy or ways of working to implement these techniques back in your workplace. So that is what I hope you guys can take away. So what is the whole team approach? So there's a picture in the screen there. Can you guys tell me what spot it is? Just drop a note in the chat box. What spot is this in the picture? Okay. Or if anyone want to speak, just raise your hand. Oh, is there any answer already, Ram?
Yes, there's answer. They say rugby, football, American football.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm looking at my notes, so I can't slide off. So,
okay, got it. I got it covered.
All right. So the answer is rugby. Okay. So rugby is there is actually a women's rugby league, even professional league, but mainly is a sport by guys, as you can see over there. So within rugby, what you see in the screen is a maneuver, is a maneuver called scrum. Okay, if you see, there's like two teams packing their bodies together and trying to get the ball, which is like in this case obviously at the white team's side. But this whole picture summarizes, what is the whole team approach. It's like, everyone in a team, hanging together and trying to, work their way through the problem. So this Scrum is an apt analogy for the whole team approach. You don't see some of all any players in here breaking off from the group to do their work alone. It's all within a group, packing together and trying to do the Scrum. So I think this is the inspiration for one of the most popular agile movement currently, which is Scrum. So just a show of hand, I think everyone here is working in an agile environment, right? I don't think anyone is working waterfall already. So this is why the whole team approach is like an app concept to share with in trying to move your team in a more agile manner. So always the focus of an agile development, we always try to look in trying to deliver better products or better experience for the users. Okay, so in order to do that, we need to deliver high quality work. Okay, in order to deliver high quality work, all of the members of the team, need to possess the skills that delivers the work. So maybe in a team, we have a team of developers, but if the developer doesn't have a product owner, then he doesn't know where to go. So that's another addition to the team. So once they have that product owner, normally they will also have a tester, to ensure that everything is covered. Even though developers focus on testing as well during their coding, but a tester is always an extra safety net, for the team to move forward. So while all this denotes some kind of specialty in an agile team, but actually, if you let's take a look at Scrum as an agile methodology, it doesn't subscribe to say that okay, the team must have 3 testers, 5 developers, 1 product owner. No, it just says a Scrum team. It doesn't denote any specialty. Okay, so in essence, in an agile team, any task can be done by any member of the team. So long as it ensures the goal of delivering quality product. Okay. So it means that the team, in terms of delivering the software, also takes responsibility for all facets of that, which is development, maybe coding, programming, as well as testing. So, testing is also something that developer can pick up and test and run with it to ensure that we deliver quality software. So in the end, whole team approach will actually involve everyone to make them responsible to deliver high quality software. So that is in the end what is the whole team approach. Okay, right. So the link down there is a link to know more about what is the whole team approach. Okay. Okay, the next picture. What do you see in this picture? What you think the team is doing over there? Yeah.
Okay, you guys can put in the chat.
Yep.
Okay, one person said meeting.
All right, meeting.
Second person said meeting. Third person said team meeting. meeting.
All right. So what is the point of meeting actually? So whatever meetings we want as a group, the point of meeting is actually to communicate. Yes. If you want to communicate our ideas, you want to communicate our decisions, we want to communicate our opinions. So in the end, a team communicates. Doesn't matter the avenue, whether it's a meeting, a remote call, or maybe an exercise as a group in trying to do activity, like say programming together or testing together. So they are trying to communicate. So this is by far the biggest thing that will actually make or break a team. So every single value that comes for a team, like trust, values like courage, and also maybe respect, all stems from communicating. So if you communicate well, there's a high chance that the team would be successful. If they have respect in the communication, if they try to put their points across with respect, not in a clashing manner. So that would ensure a high level of success for the team. So inversely, I think everyone has experienced before, working in a team that has bad vibes, or where you are afraid to share your opinion because someone might shout you down. So almost always that kind of team would not be successful. So the end result would be pretty bad. Either you are late to delivery or you deliver low quality software or whatnot. So actually communicating is the biggest thing in the team. It's not delivering the product. It's all that is actually a byproduct of good communication within the team. And communication can also be verbally, what we see here, or it can also be in a written manner, like specifications. We have maybe software diagrams, architectures. So all these written documents are also communication tools as well to deliver the ideas that you have. So that is, the biggest thing in the team, communication. So the whole team approach is trying to actually make you communicate better so that you can deliver actual real valuable work to the end users. Okay. So with that, what I want to share with everyone is actually techniques or approaches that would improve communication in everyone in the team. So to involve the whole team to talk about testing. Okay, take views about testing in their work as well. Even though you're a developer or you're a product owner, if you can get the whole team to talk about testing, then everyone benefits in the end because you have the same baseline, same standards when you talk about testing. With these techniques also, we're also able to inspire quality because now everyone knows what is needed for testing, so the developers can code their way to ensure that they can pass the test, or try to improve the user interface because the risk is there that the user doesn't understand the interface properly. Okay, so that will actually inspire quality, and lastly, it aligns with the whole team approach. Okay, let's kick off that review of techniques with number one. I think this is like the most famous technique for discussing testing, which is the Agile testing quadrants. Okay, so this quadrants was actually popularized by Lisa Crispin as well as Janet Gregory, and they started this about 10 years ago, as you can see from the link there. Okay, this is when they first started talking about the Agile testing quadrants, and actually the inspiration came from, I think, a development quadrant as well, a programming related quadrant, which they took and then translated into testing. Okay, so what this quadrant does is that it elicits conversation around testing in order to uncover the testing strategy that should be used by a team in delivering the project or the products. Generally, the question that they want to ask by working through this canvas, this agile testing quadrant, is that which test, number one, which test should you use and when? And number two, when do you want to automate the testing? Okay, if you're working in an agile environment. So the quadrant here works. Try. Laser. Okay. So the quadrant here works by the x-axis over here and the y-axis. So the x-axis over here divides the test into business-facing tests as well as technology-facing tests. So business means what the user can see, okay, or how how the user responds to the tool or the software. Okay, technology is something that's invisible from the point of user. It's more on a product perspective. Okay, now we have the y-axis. We have two points, whether you are supporting the team in terms of trying to build the software or you are trying to critique the product, meaning try to find the flaws and try to find weaknesses in the product. Okay, so once we have that x-axis and y-axis, then you can sort of have like quadrants in here, which like you have, let's say you have Q1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. The name is just for reference. You can see Q3 or Q4, but generally it's just to shorten the quadrants. Okay, so let's say we have Q1. So in Q1 we have technology facing supporting the team kind of tests. So we have the unit test over here and the component test. Okay, on quadrant 2 we have tests that would actually support the team, and it's also facing the business as well, where we interact with them to discuss the points. So we can see here that some of the tests available here are like the story tests, prototypes, and simulations. This is in supporting the team to try and build the product. Okay, quadrant 3 is actually most of our testing happens here when the product is realized and is visible by the user, can be tested by user. So these are the kind of tests that would be put in quadrant 3. Business-facing tests that will critique the product. So we have all the testing types of testing: exploratory, user testing, alpha, beta, and everything. And lastly, we have tests that critique the product from a technology perspective, from the back end. So we have like security, performance, and everything. Okay, once you have this canvas, now once you have these quadrants, right, you can chuck it up in a board and discuss with the team what kind of tests you want in a project. So this ideally happens at the start of a project when you have like a release or some sorts, where you plan the strategy. So that's where you can plan this. You can plan what kind of test you want. Okay, so it's not like there's no like rules whether you need Q3 or Q4 or whatever. It's just a conversation to spark. It's a tool to spark the conversations about testing. So that is the intent of this agile testing quadrants. Okay, so there's no hard and fast rules. It's just a tool to start the conversation about testing. So that's number one. Okay, and then next technique, we have the test suite canvas. Okay, so the test suite canvas actually was conceptualized by Katrina Kluke. But what you see here is a version of the canvas that was like spiffed up or beautified by Ashley Hansberger. I think this one is available in GitHub or something. So what this test suite canvas does is actually to spark conversations around test automation. Okay, so if you see here, right, there's like few columns that would tackle all the issues that relates to test automation, starting from the why. Okay, why is like trying to tackle the risk. What is the risk that is available that can be tackled by this automation? So these are the whys over here. And then there are dependencies, what kind of tools that must be run, constraints, pipelining. So this is how you're going to run the test. Is it like standalone, pipeline, DevOps kind of thing? Then it talks about data, what kind of data you want to use, maintainability, what is like, how we maintain this, how we version it and everything, how we look at what are intervals we look at the suites. Maybe you want to look at it every 3 months. Remove all tests, or maybe improve tests, failing tests. So all of this would actually be crucial elements in trying to build and maintain properly a test automation suite. Okay. Again, it's a tool to spark conversation, and with that conversation, we can have questions that actually would help us to find the answers to that questions. So again, this is the second technique, test suite canvas, specifically for automation. All right. And next up is the third testing that I want to share, which is called risk storming. So risk storming, okay, actually it's not specific to testing, but it's more done in software development. What risk storming is actually is a group activity to uncover risk in your projects or your products. Okay. It started off, in the software architecture space by Simon Brown. But what you see over here is the test field cards, that was done by Ministry of Testing, for which I think a guy named Baron Van Deel, converted risk storming from the software architecture space to the testing space. So it's like a format again to uncover risk that would affect testing of an application, and it uses card to uncover the areas of risk that would impact the quality of a product. So generally, how a risk storming session works, okay, is that we started off with, and this is in terms of testing. We start off with what quality aspects that this software, the thing that we're building, want to focus on. So if you say quality aspects, we want to say maintainability, we want to say all those ETs things. So we talk on a high level, what of these quality aspects we want to focus on. And then from there, which of these quality aspects has risk attached to that, what level of risk are they? Are they high, low, and everything? And then once we identify the risk level, then we can discuss on the third part, which is how we mitigate this risk or lessen this risk. Okay. So the idea is that everyone has a card, and then from there they can put the card down in this sheet, in this backdrop of the issues, and then you can see here. They talk about concurrency, data, risk, and everything. So then people would, have discussed and then put the cards on the table and share their opinion on that. And then they might be or might not be voting. But from there, we can really came together as on a consensus as a group about what risk this project would be facing in terms of delivering the software. So that is risk storming. Okay, but it doesn't necessarily need a card. You can also use your own diagrams and sticky notes as per the diagram over here. Okay, so that is risk storming. All right, so the next technique is I want to share is the ensemble testing. So ensemble testing was, I think, started by a lady named Marit Frivi. I don't know how to pronounce. She's a Finland lady, I guess. So that's why that name is quite hard to pronounce. But again, this is a technique that would foster group conversations. So what you see here in the screen is how they actually do the ensemble testing, or the old name is mock testing, but now there's in the age of political correctness, they change it to ensemble testing. So what happens in a ensemble testing session is that, okay, there'll be groups of people and roles. So what you see over here is the designated navigators. Sorry, designated navigator, one navigator. These are the navigators, and the one holding the laptop here, controlling the laptop, is the driver. So what they'll do as a group is they go through, okay, take for example, they want to do exploratory testing on a newly built page. So sitting together as a group, what they'll do is that this designated navigator will actually discuss with all the navigators on how to proceed. Once they agree, then this guy, the designated navigator, would give instruction to the driver, and the driver just navigates through to the page. So this guy is just supposed to shut up, no, not share anything or share his opinion, just drive. No? So the rest will actually be the guiding voice in terms of trying to tell the navigator where to go. And all these are actually timed. So let's say when this guy, the driver's guy, his time is up, maybe 10 minutes, then everyone would switch roles and continue from where the point the last driver stopped and move forward. So that is how ensemble testing is done. Okay, so the idea is that all of them in the room will actually either communicate, and so that they can, share as a group and learn as a group. All right. So this was taken from, I think, a mock programming idea where actually developers sit down and do the same thing in terms of trying to maybe do a code review or maybe just trying to work out the development issue. So this ensemble testing actually can be done on a development team, on a developer's team as well, not just testing. Okay, so that is ensemble testing, technique number 4. The link down here is actually the actual guidebook for which you can understand how to do ensemble testing and try to implement that. All right, so the last bit is actually not a technique. So what I want to share here is actually something that is more of a culture, like how DevOps ties, how DevOps is a culture, not a technique. Okay, so actually both of them, DevOps and this observability, is actually ties in well together. So if you can read from the Venn diagram over here, observability is actually the middle point between testing and monitoring. Okay, so that's what observability is. What it means that a system is observable, if its current state can be, figured out or determined using only the outputs of the system. So what it means that the outputs of the system, we can take a look using these tools, tools like monitoring, the dashboard. We have alerting to see if the threshold is exited out, and then we have the log aggregation as well as tracing, which happens in a program. Okay, so once we have all these tools, then we can actually determine the state of our system, and if we can do that in real time, then actually we can say the system is observable. Okay, so that is observability. So I'm just sharing here to to trigger the thought for all you guys out there to also view observability as one of the techniques to improve or communicate and try to improve on quality as a whole team. Okay, so I mean the link here just denotes on a high level what is observability, so you can Google and read about it and try to learn more. All right, so that is the last technique I want to share. All right, so it comes down to the last couple of slides I have. Now we have discussed all of these techniques, right? How you can start implement all this. Okay, these are very small steps that you can go through one by one. First of all, obviously what I shared just now is like just skimming the surface. So first of all, you need to read up on the techniques. Okay, there's a lot of there's a main branch of the technique, but there are some little permutations of the technique. So you can read up on all the techniques and try to understand how to implement them. Secondly, when you want to start, try to start small with examples that you can take from the team itself. Okay, so you don't need to start with the big bang. So for instance, let's say you want to take the second technique, which is discussing the test canvas, test suite canvas. So you might have already a test automation suite. So you can just put the suite down, the test canvas down, and then populate the issues they have from the current test suites. And then from there, you can start discussing what are the gaps in the suites, based on the test automation canvas. So that's an example of how you can start small with real examples. Point number 3 is sensitivity to context. That means that whatever you want to start with, you need to be aware, where and how to do it. Another point to understand is how the team reacts to that. So you need to be aware whether the team feels this thing is probably something that slows them down. So you need to be sensitive to that and try to tackle that kind of questions that they have in mind. Will this thing work and everything? So that's where you need to be sensitive to that as well. Okay. And fourth point is to learn continually. So don't stop with just that small example. You need to just start trying to get this thing into a flow. So maybe once you start the suite, every month or every couple of weeks, just take a look at the suite and start that suite as a conversation starter, to make sure that you guys are doing the right things. But the issue is to do this consistently so that people can get used to the idea of talking about this thing. And also it builds confidence for the whole team to gather on one technique and try to adopt that. Okay. And lastly is to keep it real, meaning if you do this, you're doing this solely to improve the quality of work. It's not about trying to introduce the latest technique or just want to look cool because you know this stuff. So that is what is mean by keeping it real. Okay, in the end, you want to help the team deliver quality work as a team. So that's what is meant by keeping it real. Okay, so yeah, these are the strategies that you can use, small things that you can use to start applying this technique. So with that, actually, that's my last slide. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Amir. I think that was really a good presentation on communication, right?
Yeah.
So so if anyone have any questions, you guys can put it in the chat, or you guys can just raise your hand. I will invite you guys to the stage. Okay, let's see.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so while waiting for people to think of a question and all, right, I have a question. So, so your topic, right, is mainly is tying agile. The main agile is tied to the communication. That's the main principle, right?
Yeah.
So, of all the techniques that you have explained, right? Okay, I have a scenario in my mind where we have like for example in a team we have the team lead, where the leader is quite strict and so on. So the teammates, they have a problem to communicate or voice out to the team lead, right?
Yeah.
So that is a form of like a communication difficulty. So how can we actually overcome that? Is there any solution or techniques which we can apply?
I think your question will actually go beyond what I just shared just now, because
Okay.
one of the things I shared is about, from a testing perspective. But what the scenario you share is actually goes down to the basic level of even starting to sit in a room, can communicate together. So definitely you need to actually when the team starts, you need to do some work in trying to make the team talk together. I think there's a phases where team goes. I think I can't remember the the exact methodology or name, but it goes through a phase. So the first phase is called not forming, when you start to come together. Then second phase is storming, where you actually have difficulties or issues in trying to speak out, or maybe there's clashes of personality. So that's storming. Forming, storming. Norming is when you start to gel and understand each other better. And then performing is the point where everyone knows their roles, everyone knows the personality of people in the team and try to work together without any egos or clashes to deliver. That's the performing phase. And last phase I can't remember, but no, these four, everything will go through these four stages, 4 or 5 stages lah. Forming, storming, norming, performing. So if you know about this, then you can identify where is the group at, and within all these phases, you can actually do exercises to improve communication at that phase of the team. So let's say you're in the storming phase, which I think what you were alluding to, teams are trying to, some of them like holding back, not sharing, because they feel that they might hurt these people's feeling. So there are a series of exercises that you can try to do and to break people out of the shell, but at the same time be respectful of each other. Once you know the boundaries, then you actually can talk and communicate better in that way. So on top of my mind, I can't remember the exercises, but these kind of exercises actually will help to set the boundaries. Most importantly, make the whole team be respectful of each other, because once they respect each other, then they can start to be trusting, and when they trust each other, that's where they can be candid. So these exercises that I mentioned earlier, which I need to share later, can help to get these 3 things set up properly in the team. Only when you have trust, when you have respect, then you can be candid and honest about the conversations we have. So the storming part is actually one of the most difficult part in a team, where team is trying to gel, because sometimes storming is like so long, 3 months, but some teams you just storm for a couple of weeks and then they can get on to norming and performing phase. So it depends, especially on the how and the experience of the team. If a lot of experienced people, then they can actually get through the storming phase fast, but it's not a must or a norm, because as people get older, they have really really strong opinions. Sometimes they even go through longer phases of storming. So that's my answer. Be aware of these phases of team, and then try to get exercises that fit the phase of the team. And then from there, one of the things I want to share is the key things that team needs is trust and respect. From there, if the team have these two, then they can feel safe to share their opinions. Yep. So that's my point of view.
Wow, interesting. I wasn't aware of there were phases of communication, right? Because all the while I thought when you just go into a company or new environment, you should naturally start blending and all, but actually it's compartmentalized into different phases. So
exactly. I forgot the name. There's someone who studied this. So there's a forming phase, storming phase, norming phase, performing phase, and I think it's the ending phase. I don't know, closure or something. Once I have that, I'll just share as well to you.
Yeah, that would be very good.
Yeah.
Cool. That's nice. Okay, let me look into the chat. If any questions from you guys? Okay, so I think stages of group development. What do you mean by that, Benji? Do you want to explain? Stages of group development. What Amir was talking about. Oh, so you mean what Amir was talking about? It's called stages of group development. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions, guys? If not, then we can move on to our next section, which is our 99 seconds talk. So if you guys, so how this thing works is like, each one of you will be given 99 seconds. So you guys can just talk about yourself, about anything, maybe about the session, how you guys feel, feedback, or maybe about yourself, any difficulties you guys facing, something like that. So if anyone wants to volunteer, can just raise up in the chat. I will just invite you guys to the stage. So any volunteers? Don't be shy.
Maybe just pick a name because we're a small crowd today.
Yeah. Guess people everyone's got shy. So what else? Any questions? No. If that's the case, then I think shall we wrap it up? Things
Yep.
quite clear, all right? Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for attending our talk today. So the next one will be on 10th November 2020. So Ministry of Testing Kuala Lumpur happens on every second week of the month. So second Tuesday, right? So any speakers, volunteers, or sponsors will be welcome. So you guys can just ping me, Amir, or Nitin, or you can just leave in the chat later. So if you guys feel like you guys want to contribute something, or join the talk. So I think that is all for today. Thank you so much, Amir, once again for sharing such a wonderful presentation. It was really informative.
Yep.
So with that, everyone, have a nice day. Thank you so much for spending your time again here.
Yes.
So hope to see you guys on next session.
Yeah. And there's a launch still, right?
Sorry?
I think
yeah, there's a launch. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after this, you guys can just hang out at the launch. So maybe you guys can just catch up there and have some small talk about how it all went. So try to explore that feature and try to give a feedback on it. What do you guys think about the launch? All right. Okay then. Bye bye, guys. Thank you so much. See you guys in the next one.